Let's move over to that upset, which was the Raiders beating Baltimore at Baltimore. And a lot of this was on the back of not only Davante Adams, who had a flashback game, caught 9 passes for 110 yards, a touchdown. Brock Bowers, Matthew, caught all 9 targets for 98 yards.
So I'm just going to say this. As I sit here and I brag to you about how Alvin Kamara was on the preseason love list, and so it was like, Joe Mixon and Pacheco, my ride or die Kyler Murray looking great. Like the preseason love list really looking good at this point. But I got to tell you, Brock Bowers was on the hate list, and I would like that one back. That was a huge mistake by me. That was a massive mistake. I was just like, he's going to the Raiders, bad quarterback situation, splitting time with Mayer. How many targets? Got hurt in August. Like, I don't see it with Brock Bowers this year. I get the talent, but I just think the situation, you know what, Connor? Sometimes elite talent just wins out. I would like a mulligan on that. Mea culpa. That was just an awful freaking call because this guy is just a monster.
Yeah, it turns out one of the best tight end prospects the last 20 years is now going to be one of the probably better pass catching tight ends in the NFL.
I screwed you guys on that one. I'm sorry.
Happens.
Well, I think the concern was health, right?
Right. That's where I started to get like, because he was hurt. He was hurt last year.
It was team situation. We thought they were going to be run heavy. I just, just all the things that just. I didn't love him at ADP, and turns out I was wrong. Where he was going at ADP was perfectly fine.
That's the shocking thing about the Raiders. It's not so much what's actually happening in terms of stat accumulation. They're just throwing the ball a ton. Yeah. This is airing it out. We can't envision. Everyone's like, oh, Antonio Pierce, old school, ground and pound, Zamir White. They're just throwing it all the time. And so Bowers and Davante Adams are really benefiting.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Like sometimes you have to throw when things aren't working.
White's terrible.
That's the way. I mean, I'd see like this is the thing. They can't really effectively run the ball the way they want to. So Gardner Minshew, let it rip.
Certainly not against Baltimore. By the way, I got to give. I love to give Jay crap. I really do. But man, oh man, fantasy football pregame Sunday morning. If you guys aren't watching, we had a really good day there too. And this man, Jay Croucher, made you money if you were listening to him as well. Not only did he call the Saints upset, he called the Raiders upset. You said that. You said they're going into Baltimore. I think they win this game.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that I actually said it in the first hour of the show, and then I don't think anyone was listening because they thought it was too ridiculous. And then an hour later, Lawrence Jackson just popped into his head an hour delayed. Like, did you say before that you think the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens? Like, yeah, I think the Raiders are going to win. The Ravens' defense looked terrible against the Chiefs. Ravens have a lot of questions, and we'll get into some of that. But this Raiders team, here's the thing with the Raiders, right? Gardner Minshew, everyone thinks of him as like the quintessential backup quarterback. He's like the Merriam-Webster definition of a backup quarterback is Gardner Minshew. And the idea of a backup quarterback is they're like a game manager safe though. Gardner Minshew is a madman. He just heaves it up, and he has huge he's very high variance where he makes all the throws and then he just gets randomly strip sacked when he's been in the pocket for 6 seconds. He's got no idea what's going on. But he can get the ball to these guys, and that's the main thing. So I think this is perhaps a more fantasy-friendly environment than you might think, just given the overall level of talent of the quarterback.
Brock Bowers is now has 30 fantasy points in the season. He's the second best tight end in fantasy through 2 weeks. Now, a lot of the big-name guys just have really disappointed there as well, but he's had at least 8 targets and 6 receptions in each game. 25% target share, which is second highest on the team. Now, weirdly, he doesn't have any red zone targets this year. I have to believe that's going to change, right? He's too much of a weapon here. He's caught 15 of his 17 targets. He has been all that in a bag of Raider chips. I will tell you that I think, again, if you were for trade value, if you were redrafting today, I would argue he's in that. We talked about that sort of that elite top 5 tier of Laporta, Kelsey, McBride, Andrews, and Dalton Kincaid. I think he's right there in that tier. I mean, like, redrafting again today, I don't know that you'd take all 5 of those in that order. It's been a slow start for each one of those 5 guys. But, like, he's right there with, I would argue he's right there with Kittle. Kittle had a big game this week, but there's some variance there. Kyle Pitts, we'll see what he does tonight. But I don't know. Yeah, I think Bowers is a mid-tier tight end one from this moment forward. Again, I'm raising my hand and saying, like, what a terrible effing call that was by me, but all in.
I'm not sure there's a tight end like you definitively want over Brock Bowers. Like, you could say, like, degrees like, yeah, maybe you prefer Laporta or McBride because you still have to regress a little bit to preseason expectations this early in, but I mean, Brock Bowers is right there.
It's been brutal for the
right
top
there.
guys.
Yeah, we'll get to the Chiefs as well. Kelsey had some bad luck in this game. We'll get there. But anyway, he's right there in that. He's right there in that mix. By the way, coming up next for the Red Hot Raiders, Carolina Panthers. They host Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Then they host the Browns. Okay, at Denver, home to Pittsburgh. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but like
That's pretty good overall.
I was just going to say, there's a decent chance at the end of this they're 3-3 or they're 4-2, and they're right there in the mix.
Yep.
The good news for Baltimore, specifically on the fantasy side of things, guys, the volume was there from the guys that you expected from Jay. Derrick Henry gets 18 carries, Zay Flowers gets 11 targets, and they both had productive days.
Yeah, Zay Flowers still just continuing the trend on from the back half of last year. He's clearly Lamar Jackson's #1 guy. With Derrick Henry, I think a lot was made of the fact that, you know, he didn't play a massive amount of snaps against the Chiefs, and he was coming off the field on 3rd down. Like, he's still getting all the carries. Like, that's the main thing, right? Is he's getting the carries, he's not getting, and he's getting a little bit of passing work. He's getting a couple of balls thrown to him each game. So I think with Henry, again, it's a little bit weird because he's not on the field all the time, but he gets such heavy usage when he is, and he's going to have such touchdown equity.
That's the thing. He scored this week. He scored last week. I mean, we've talked, when they get in close, it's always going to be him. They actually direct snap the ball to him and let him and the entire team push it in. Ravens, by the way, like, this is, if you're a Baltimore fan, just, again, we talked about that. They're on the road at Dallas. They're 0-2. They're on the road at Dallas. Then they're home to Buffalo. Then they've got to go to Cincinnati, and you expect T. Higgins is back and Burrow. Like, that ain't easy. Then they're home to my Commanders, and they'll kill them. But, like, there's a chance, like, they're 1-4. You know, at that point, they're, I don't know. It's dicey. But, yes, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry. And the other last thing I'll mention here quickly is Mark Andrews. Everyone was expecting, oh, Isaiah Likely. Is there a changing of the guard? No. Like, again, it was not a great game for the Ravens offense, but there was a return to the pecking order of the tight ends. Mike Andrews looked more like Mark Andrews in this one.
Yep.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.